I think probably the biggest thing for someone starting out is to have organization in your workshop. We have this, which that is, I believe, a 150-pound base. We filled it with sand to eliminate vibrations. I have videos on all my tool builds that I've done, which include this. This is a magnetic drill press stand. I picked the drill press up for $30 and built this whole thing. My grinder rack build that I did, which was my ultimate grinder rack, as well as this table. I have a full playlist of all of these things that have been just huge time savers in the shop, because when you're organized, you're more productive and you're less fatigued at the end of the day. This is going to make working in the workshop so much easier, and having all my clamps together. If I need a clamp, I can just grab one off the rack. I can grab two, or I can grab as many as I need, and I don't have to worry about them falling on the floor. This is just the way to do it. I am so pleased how this came out. Welcome back, guys. My name is Brandon, and today we've got a nice, simple project to fix a problem that I've had for a long time, and that is clamp storage in the workshop. So up until now, this is how I've been doing it. I put my clamps just kind of like hanging on the edge of my drill press stand. It actually doesn't work too bad because it's pretty close to where I'm working, and that's what you want. That's the distance from where I'm actually working, so I can actually just kind of reach over and grab them. But the issue that I have is that sometimes if you bump one, they just all come tumbling down because there really isn't a good way of doing it. Directly behind me, I have a magnet that I stick a lot of things to, but that doesn't work that great either, because then you end up bumping something and it ends up falling on the ground. I want something that's a little more secure, and I think I got a pretty good idea today of how we can do this. See, if you look here and you end up bumping one of these, you can see how it just falls to the edge, then you go to grab it, then they end up falling down, then it bumps another one. It's just a problem. These ones never fall just because of how they are, but I'm going to try to incorporate a hanger for these as well. There's going to be a piece of angle this width that's going to bolt to this lip. It's just going to be 1.5 inches, comes down and out. Then there's going to be some fingers that come out every so often, and then these clamps will slide into those fingers and they'll hang just like that. So whether you're using the type that we made using these shoulder bolts for this clamping table, or you're just using a regular set of vice grips, this should work perfect. So the way we're going to do this is I have a piece of scrap 1.5 inch angle iron. I believe it's 1/8 inch thick, and I have some 3/4 wide by 1/4 inch thick flat bar. We ought to be able to hang a few of these clamps off each of these rungs, but we don't want it so far out into the room that we're getting it caught on stuff. So let's say we go out maybe 5 inches. Let's go 6 inches out into the room, and we'll make this 20 inches, which is the width of that cabinet. The best way to make multiple cuts that are all the same, if you got to make the same, is to use a stop block or have some sort of stop that you can use for that. And this is what we're going to do with this. So I just got a chunk of steel here. I'm going to slide it back. We know we want to make it 6 inches long, each of those. So I'm going to bring my blade down so that it reads 6 inches just to the side of the blade. Then we'll take our block and slide that over just so it touches the tape measure. Then we'll clamp down the block, make the cut, and it'll be 6 inches exactly every single time. I'm gonna clamp this side over here just to keep it steady, and do the same thing here on this side. Then we just slide it down until it bumps our material stop, clamp it again to hold it in place, and make our cut. And just like that, it makes a nice, consistent, burr-free cut. Now we're going to cut our angled piece to 20 inches long. And because this system is so versatile, I just removed the clamp that was holding down that block, and now I'm going to put on a V-block holder, because you want to cut your angle a specific way. You don't want to cut it this way, you want to cut it this way, because you're going to get the most amount of life out of your blade. And to properly get that on, you just take your clamp, slip that on, then you can put it in one of the many available areas to clamp it down. And there it is. Now check this out, guys. I've wanted one of these tools forever, and I went on the Evolution Tools website. This isn't a sponsored video or anything like that. I paid for this with my own money. I get nothing by telling you about this, but this is just an awesome tool. You know, you get like metal shavings all through your shop. Well, look at this. This picks it all up. You can see right over there, right in front of you, that's my floor roller magnet, and I roll that over the floor to pick up all my chips, but then you have to wipe down the magnet with your hands to get all the chips off. It's just kind of a pain, and you take a risk of getting, you know, metal splinters. The beauty of this tool is that once you have all your magnet shavings all stuck to your tool, you pull this handle on the back and watch the magnet shavings, which happens to them. Look. They just fall back off, so it's self-cleaning. You don't have to like rub your hands down it to get all the chips off. You see the pile there and there, so just push the handle back in, and boom, you can pick all that up again. Bring it over to your trash can, retract the handle, and all the magnetic shavings go right in the trash. Super easy. This is probably one of the best ways I found of just picking up, you know, chips off your tools and off your bench. And they make those, you know, sweeper magnets that also have a similar idea that you can retract them. That other magnet that I just showed you doesn't. That's just a cheap Harbor Freight one. For the price of this, it's a wicked good price. I can't remember how much it was. It wasn't a whole lot of money, and I've wanted one for a long time. So finally bit the bullet and went out and picked one up. All right, with all our pieces cut to size, let's get this assembled, laid out, and welded up. And now we got to figure out how far apart to space these. So, you know, it looks like we put one here. There's a little gap between them. So to center, they look like about 6 inches apart. And then 6 inches to center. And then the other set will be in 6 inches to center. Yeah, that'll work good. So I want to be able to hold these types of clamps, those F-style clamps, and it'd be nice to make a small row where I could actually hold my material stops for my table, which are these pieces right here, and these are 5/8 diameter. And what these do is these just fit in this table. We're going to be using them while we do this, so I'll show you all this stuff. And I'm trying to keep all this, you know, fixturing stuff together in one place. So, all right, well, let's start getting this stuff fixtured up. So we're going to put a couple stops here. This will help keep things straight. So now we can bump that into that. We can clamp that down to hold it. I'm going to put a piece of this scrap flat bar right here underneath this front edge, because this is 1/4 inch thick, that's 1/8 inch, so that'll give these tines a little bit of a uphill slope to help keep the clamps on. And I've got a stop here and another stop here, and we'll put that little material, it's one of these tines, we'll put it right here, bump this into it so it's all even, ready to weld. We just need to figure out these gaps here for these clamps. So you have these for the clamps down below. We could put another set right above that holds these. That's probably not a bad idea either. I think I'll actually do that. Yep, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. We've got the material to do it, might as well. Now here's something to think about, guys, when you're trying to determine the spacing of how far apart you want these, right? Because you want them to fit snugly around the shaft of this. Well, if you're using the original brand vice grips, or you're using the Pittsburgh ones from Harbor Freight, there's a difference in size. So if you take a set of calipers and check the original, that's going to give you one dimension right there. The ones from Harbor Freight are just a little bit looser. Now, this would matter because if you only have Harbor Freight ones and you set this up for this gap and then you go buy some vice grips on a lawn sale, some of the original ones or something, they're not going to fit in your clamps. So I would set them up for the larger diameter of shaft. And then what I did to simplify things is I found a bolt that was that exact size, the size of the actual vice grips. And now this bolt is what I'll use to size up the gap for the spacing when I go to weld these together. For this project, I'm going to be using my YesWelder DP200, and I've got a surprise for you because I'm actually giving this welder, this exact one, and I'll even sign it if you'd like me to one lucky subscriber to the channel. YesWelder reached out to me and asked me if I would try one of their demo models before it went into production. Well, this is it. This one has a white screen as opposed to the one you'd buy now in the store that has the black screen or the switchable screen. Other than that, the features are all the same. It's kind of a cool little story because you can tell someone that you ended up with a machine before it even hit the market, before anyone else ever had it. For wire, I'm using 30 thousandths Lincoln solid wire, and I'm using 20 CFH of C25 gas. And this is a 120, 240 dual voltage machine. It's got dual pulse MIG. You can also weld aluminum with it. And it's going to come with a liner that's going to allow you to weld aluminum. So you can switch out the steel liner that's in it, switch it over for this graphite one, and you'll be in business. I love doing these types of things, guys, because this, just allows more people to get in on this trade. I look at it this way, is I may have not have ever got involved in welding had my dad not picked up a welder when I was younger. And here we are many, many years later, and now this has actually become a trade profession. And I'm just going to be bluntly honest, the stigma was growing up years ago that if you kind of got into the trades, that meant that you wasn't necessarily maybe educated enough to become a doctor or a lawyer. We all need those people, but now there's a shortage of these professions, of these, labor trades where we need welders, we need skilled people in the field physically doing things with their hands. So that stigma is kind of gone. Now if you're in one of the trades, you're kind of very well respected in this, and I'm so glad that that kind of changed over the years, because it was one of those things that you felt like you were settling if you were getting into a trade. If you're getting into a trade now, you're going to be highly respected. So that's why I like to do these giveaways and get people involved and get them invested in these trades, because this could make the difference between somebody who's maybe getting a lower paid job versus getting a higher paid job. And all the while you may be able to find something that you enjoy doing that you could use as a profession or as a hobby. Just another way for me to open that up to other people to get involved in the trades, and I enjoy having my position on this platform to be able to do that. So on November 10th I'm going to be giving this away, and I'll have the details down in the video description below, but I will mail this to you. It's going to be limited to the 48 states, and one lucky subscriber is going to get this. One of the things is you're going to have to comment in the comment section. You're going to have to be a subscriber to the channel, and I will send this to you with no strings attached. Any of my previous winners on this channel that I've given away dozens of welders and plasma cutters to can attest to the fact that this costs you nothing. The rules will be very simple. You will have to reach out to me once I announce you're the winner. So don't fall for any of these tricks that people reach out to you portraying themselves as me, because I'm not going to come to you and say, hey, John Smith, you just won this welder. I'm going to announce on the channel on November 10th whoever this winner is. I'm going to announce their name. I'm going to announce it here. I'm going to announce it on my Instagram, and I'm going to announce it over on Facebook. From that point on, it's up to you to contact me with your details. If that doesn't happen within a set number of days, you forfeit your prize. But I will never reach out to a winner, ever, and tell them that they won, other than publicly by announcing it everywhere on all my social media. And again, it'll be your responsibility to reach out to me with your details. I'm not going to ask for shipping. It'll cost you $0. This will arrive at your doorstep just as you see it right here. With that said, let's get going. I'm going to show you just how easy it is to set up this machine. I just turned it on, comes up with a welcome screen. I love that it's big, especially for you older folks like myself that have a little bit harder time seeing. This is really nice. As I said, the newer models are going to allow you to toggle between this light screen and a dark screen, but this machine is fixed at this. So for material, we're going to select it. It's this easy. And then here's our menu. Just rotate it: stainless, aluminum 4043, or aluminum 5356 wire. We're going to select steel, because that's what we're working with, by pressing in that button. And then we're going to rotate over to the next. We're going to select our gas by just, again, turning this same knob, pushing it in to select it. So 80-20, CO2, 90-10 CO2, 98-2 CO2, 100% argon, so that's what you're going to use doing aluminum or trimix. That's super expensive. Not many home gamers are using that. Maybe some of you are, I don't know, but most wouldn't. So we're on 80-20 or C25 gas. It's same idea. This is what makes this so simple, especially for people just starting out. And then we rotate over one more to wire diameter. Push it in to select it. 30 thousandths. We can go from 24 to 45. Push it in to select it. Again, rotate it again. What's our material thickness? So we're going to go by the thinner of the two materials because we're welding 1/4 to 1/8. So we're going to push it in. We can go all the way from 24 gauge all the way up to 3/8. So we will go set it to 1/8 inch. Select. We can also save it as a favorite. We can select 2T or 4T mode. That's on how the trigger operates. We can select what type of torch we have. We can do a MIG torch or a spool gun, because this is spool gun capable. We're going to use the MIG torch. Now we're going to purge our gas by pressing this in. So this is gas check done. Hear that purge? Now we'll look over at our gauge and we can see that our gauge is dropped down to our actual working pressure. We're going to select done. Now we just finished purging it. Now select pulse. We're not going to pulse this. We could though, and we could do pulse on single pulse or pulse on dual pulse. We're selecting off for both, so we're going to push that. Now our advanced menu. This is the order of operations from the minute you pull the trigger. So we've got 0.3 seconds of gas just as we pull the trigger before the arc initiates, so that's purging out the line, cleaning any contaminants. We've got a hot start. That's set for 209, and then it's going to return to a starting voltage of 209. So the hot start isn't activated on this. It's got 0.2 seconds of a startup slope, but because we didn't change the variables here, there won't be any difference. You won't see a difference. So let's say we went to 215 to get that initial crisp arc started, and then it will ramp down to 209 over the course of 0.2 seconds. And you can adjust that again just by selecting it. We're welding at 280 inches per minute. And then you've got crater slope, crater, burn back. That's going to be used when you're doing aluminum, and post flow gas, 0.5 seconds. And I have a very detailed explanation in another video I'll link that explains what inductance is and how to set all of these parameters on one of these machines, because they're pretty much all the same. But this all looks good, so we're going to select that. And then you have a help menu in case you get stuck. So it's as easy as that, as setting up this machine. We're set up, guys. That's it. We don't have to do anything else. Get on our safety gear and start welding. So we'll check this for square. That looks pretty good there. Let's give it a little tack. I'll tell you what, guys, this machine welds super smooth. It's got a really nice crisp arc. Now to determine where we want this other strap to go, we're just going to use this bolt, which is the same size as our vice grip clamps. So we just butt that up there, give it a little tap. See that? Perfect. Just want to pull off our clamp real quick. Just give it a once over just to make sure that what we've done is actually going to work the way we intend it to. So, look at that. That's exactly how that'll work. That'll hold a bunch of clamps too. Yeah, guys, you are going to be really happy with how this welder welds. It is extremely smooth. Now, we set our next one. We want it in 6 inches to center. From this edge to this edge, then, we want to set it for 6 inches, that edge to that edge, because when we slide it over, that'll give us 6 inches to center. Check it for square. I just cut 4 more of these at 6 inches long. I'm going to make those for these table stops that fit into the table like this. Just so that these don't have a tendency to want to break off, I'm going to weld them on the back side, burn them in real good, and then we'll grind them right flush. And then we'll go over everything. with a grinder and a flap wheel, maybe round off these corners a little bit, make everything feel real nice. Let's just say you wanted to turn up the heat just a little bit. You just do that by turning this up a little bit. So you're gonna do, you know, 0.3, 0.5, 0.6, or you can go to the negative side. You can turn it down a little bit, -3, 4, 5, whatever. So I'm gonna go a little bit hotter on this because I want this to burn in so that I can grind it flush. And another great thing about this machine is you can purge out your gas without actually having to like pull the trigger and have wires spool out. Another way of doing it would be to release the mechanism inside the cabinet, then pull the trigger so that it doesn't extend wire out. With this machine, you literally can just dial it to gas check, select it, and it'll purge off the gas. Now I'm going to press the button. You should always drain your gas off. And now it'll go down. That way it takes all the pressure off your diaphragm of your gauge and it'll make it last longer. There's already a couple holes. There's one here and one here, so we might as well use those holes to secure this to this drill press. Clamp it in right there, and I'll just mark out the backside. This is the fun part. This is where we get to shape everything, deburr everything, and make it look real nice. Now I just got some 1/4-20 hardware with some lock washers for the backside. That welder does such a nice job, guys. It is just so smooth. I can't wait to try this out now. See, I got clamps everywhere. I got them in here, got them laying over there. Now I can keep them all together. This is going to make working in the workshop so much easier and having all my clamps together. If I need a clamp, I can just grab one off the rack. I can grab two, or I can grab as many as I need, and I don't have to worry about them falling on the floor. This is just the way to do it. I am so pleased how this came out. And that's all there is to it. Little projects like this can be a huge time saver, as I explained earlier in the workshop. By being organized, you're more productive, you're working quicker, and you become less fatigued and less irritated throughout your entire project. If you're wondering about any of the tools that you see me using, I'll have links down below. New videos every Friday, so until next week, I will see you guys then. And if you're wondering about any of the tools that you see in my workshop, I have tool build videos for all of this stuff. I'll have a playlist link down below. Until next week, I'll see you guys then. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.